prayer in the garden. After Jesus ate with his disciples and told the disciples about their betrayal, Jesus led them into the garden and chose 3 of his disciples, Peter, James, and John, to go further into the garden with him to pray. Jesus wanted to pray because he knew that he would have to sacrifice himself on a cross for our sin because he loved us. Jesus come down from heaven and made himself a man to die in our place. And since he was both human and God, the human part of him was scared about what was going to happen to him. Jesus prayed because if there was any other way to save mankind from their sins, that God would do that instead of Jesus having to die. Jesus told his Father he would do what needed to be done. When Jesus came back to his followers, he found Peter, James, and John sleeping against a tree. Jesus woke them, saying he was not pleased that they could not stay up when the people who wanted to betray him would soon be there. As Jesus said this, one of his followers, named Judas, came with Roman soldiers ready to betray him. Things have just worked out the way that Jesus had told his disciples the night before. Judas told the Roman soldiers that whoever he kissed on the cheek would be the one he wanted them to arrest. As Judas kissed Jesus, the Roman soldiers moved fast to arrest Jesus. And as they tried, Peter pulled out his sword and cut the ear of one of the priests. Jesus reached down, picked it up, and healed the priest. The Pharisees and Roman soldiers led Jesus in chains to see the high priest, Caiaphas. Peter followed close behind to see what would happen to his friend and Savior, Jesus. Jesus stood before Caiaphas. The high priest asked him if he had anything to say about what the accusations of what the religious leaders were making. Jesus did not answer to Caiaphas, so Caiaphas tried to ask one more question to trap Jesus. He asked, "Are you Christ, the Son of God?" Jesus answered with yes. This made Caiaphas outraged, and he screamed, "This is blasphemy! That he claims to be the Son of God," and sentenced Jesus to death. While Peter waited outside of the city, a servant girl recognized him and said, "You were with Jesus the Galilean." Peter denied even being with Jesus, and then the rooster crowed. Peter quickly stood up, and then the servant girl asked again if he was a friend of Jesus. Peter said he did not even know Jesus. Finally, a Roman guard comes to Peter and says, "You really were one of them." And then Peter says, "Curse me if I'm lying. I don't know the man." Immediately, a rooster crowed, and Peter was ashamed because of what Jesus has said. "Before the rooster crows 2 times, you will deny me 3 times." Peter began to weep.